Hello, 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 and welcome to another broadcast of In the Circle Ministries, where I'm your host here, Rico Blakeney, where we take things and put them up under the microscope, and we make our plural singular. And if we put things up under the microscope, we're able to see things for what they are, um, and see it with a singular eye, so as you can have a straight understanding. Today is the second part of Keys of Unlocking the Bible 3.2, and we'll be getting to the book of Enoch, which is a very long one. It's another reason for the length of time in between getting the video done and actually recorded. Doing a lot of studies, had to read a bunch of different, I'm going to say variations or different books by different authors of the book of Enoch as well. And I also want to go ahead and put this out there that the book of Jasper, if I've done more research on it, that it is not one of the lost books or any of the apocryphal books. It's just another book. It wasn't written nowhere near the time frame of the other books that may have made it into the Bible or that didn't make it as a part of the apocrypha, meaning hidden or secret books. But Enoch himself did. But the book of Jasper, I wanted to go ahead and put it out there after doing further research. And, was shared to me by a friend, and I was intrigued with the information in the read of it, which was a good read, but come to find out it's more so of they've deemed it a fabrication. So with that being said, I want to clear the record, as I said before on my other videos. If I can find anywhere I've erred or come across anywhere that I've erred, I will make it known. Here in this video, I don't claim on this channel, I don't claim to be the guru of anything or the leading studier in any of these things. These are just some things that I've used, that I've studied and learned that helps me out in my life. Not a scholar by for, but attain and read a bunch of information. So I don't claim to be perfect as well, neither. I do strive for correctness. I do strive for righteousness and doing things in the right way. From my understanding of righteousness is doing things in the right way. So now that we got that out of the way, before we get into it, because the book of Enoch, I have the whole collection, but the first book of the Watchers comes in 3 parts, so it's very long. We'll probably just do the Watcher today. Well, in the first book, you have the Watchers, the parables, and the story of Noah. Today, we're going to do the Watchers, which are it's a couple of chapters in there. Was a lot of chapters in there. 1 through 32 or 1 through 37 in certain books, but in here we're going to read enough whereas you can get from understanding from Genesis cross back over to Enoch. So a little bit more about myself as well. Like I was telling you guys in earlier videos, that I was brought up in name of the church was Rose Hill Baptist Church out of my hometown. I don't want to give too much of my information, but my hometown that I'm in. And my dad was a Sunday school teacher. I would say by the time we went from what would be called kindergarten to first and second grade, we had the primary and then the kids class. By the time I got to the kids class, he had started teaching upstairs and was really, really great. Almost like a preacher when it came to the knowledge and understanding and teaching in that realm of Southern Baptist Christianity. And still is a great guy, very knowledgeable in certain things. But the reason I say that is that he was real strategic and cared about us. He didn't take the faith or Christianity or his religion and his belief no way, shape, form lightly. And so he passed it on to us as well, what brings about my love and desire and my willfulness to learn more about it, because I don't take it lightly as well. But it's in different formats that you see we're teaching here now, outside of the indoctrination. But there were certain things about it I still do not take somewhat lightly. But in that younger time, man, as I say, he was Sunday school teacher, and we had Sunday school classes down there in the from the kindergarten all the way up to the young adults, to the youth, or to the youth, to the young adults, and then to the adult class. And he taught the adult class, but we had to know our Sunday school, know all the lessons. We had to know what they were talking about, all the questions and the answers to the lessons. By the time I was 13, we was taught to already know all the books of the Old Testament and all the books of the New Testament. We was taught to know from Adam and Eve, the sin in the garden. And I see my video's kind of messing up, but I'm still gonna put it out. Um, internet's acting up a little bit, even though we haven't got that fixed. But we had to know about Adam and Eve, the sin, the serpent in the garden. Then we heard about the giants in the land, and then we heard about Noah finding grace in God's sight, and Noah replenishing the earth, God saving Noah, or that part of humanity, and Noah replenished the earth of the destruction of the earth and the giants. And after Noah, you have um, his son Shem, and out of Shem later on came Abram. Then you hear about the city of Babel and Babylonian and Nimrod. These things, like I say, some of these main characters, the main parts, we had to already know and no question about it inside and outside of the story. Just keeping it short here. Then after Nimrod, you hear about Abraham and the covenant God makes with Abraham. Goes on down to later on, he makes a new covenant with Moses. After you hear about Abraham's kids, on down to Jacob and Isaac and all those other characters in the Bibles and the things that happened there. Jacob having his dream on the rock, or using it as a pillar and seeing God, seeing God face to face. Come back down, get right with his brother, and things carry on with that story there, and then it goes on to later on with Moses and Joshua, and then Moses taking the people through the wilderness, out of Exodus, out of Egypt, bringing them into the wilderness for so many years, and then never got to enter the promised land. And then Joshua was able to somewhat enter the promised land, but it was already occupied by some of those still giants and Nephilims, which we'll talk about later on in Enoch. And Joshua conquest and taking out all of those peoples and cities and towns and all those other things. And then it picks back up outside of the stories of the books of the prophets. We're in the Kings and the Chronicles and all that other stuff. Get on down to the New Testament, then you hear about Jesus and all the great things about that and his teachings in the letter to Paul, or some that would have been accredited to Paul, and then the Revelations, and then things of that nature. So those things that we was made to know and have already known, studying and reading. And at that time of 12 and 13 is when I got baptized. Pops wouldn't let me get baptized at the age of 12 because I wanted to do it because my friends were doing it. And he told me that wasn't right, that I had to do it because I seen why I needed and I wanted to accept the baptism, going into it knowing why and what was going on. Same way he wouldn't let us take communion, which is something else we're not going to get too much deep into, but wouldn't allow us to take communion because he said it wasn't to be taken lightly. You had to understand what you were doing, or you were maybe eating and drinking to your life into damnation. But like I said, so that's the type of childhood and youthhood I had growing up with the Bible, growing up in the church and all these things here. And as you see me doing these videos and ministry that I have now, it's understanding that I have now, not to do nothing else but share that. So even with that, I would say in my lifetime, I've been 47 now. Before I had turned, before I turned 18, I had read the Bible 1.5 times. Not saying I read it with clear understanding, but I was able to read it from front to cover because I was intrigued by it. There's a lot of studying and stuff that I did, to whereas I was one of those Christians. I walked around with my pocket Bible in my back pocket, not to preach to people. I wasn't one. I would share when it comes to certain things, in certain environments, and certain people, most time one-on-one basis or whatever. Words of encouragement, I would say. But I carried it with me all the time, and every spare time I would read it. And even when I got into the old folks that took the world by storm and was living a youthful life as some would, I would say I would use it in an example of the prodigal son, and live a righteous, unrighteous life, living it righteously, doing the things and running so the streets and things of that nature. I still had the word and I still read and studied. That was my key. Or I still had the Bible. That was my key of keeping me free from a lot of things, or going deeper into a lot of things. It was my scapegoat from that reality I created for myself in the streets and living a lifestyle of that nature. And so after that, like I say, 18 to 24, I had read it 2 more times with a whole lot more understanding. Um, so altogether, I might have read the Bible 6 or 7 times from front to cover, and doing studying and research from their books of the prophets, all the way down to trying to, not say trying to, but comparing scripture with scriptures, coming to the New Testament, trying to tie the Old Testament together, seeing where and why was there such a big gap, and how and when were these things tied together. So as I got older, there was other things, as I say, that I've learned about life and life experiences that taught me different from indoctrination. And to be honest, the understanding and revelation that was given to me in my studies in my personal time, and just in my life personally, the way the spirit of Christ conscious always worked inside of me, that a lot of these teaching and things I'm teaching now was coincides inside and was proving the spiritual things that I was seeing and hearing inside of my head that I couldn't get from other pastors and other preachers, or maybe from my daddy or other believers. They could not and did not see what I see. Not saying that I am the only one. There's plenty more out here that do. Just in that circle of people and life environment that I had, I did not have those people. Um, so I didn't have those people around my life that I could share a lot of things that I do now and share thoughts and opinion with. A lot of times, and even it took a while for me to get to that point because of the indoctrination that I had was to keep me closed-minded. But I always have what some way I would call somewhat like a rebellious spirit towards that indoctrination, to whereas I hung with different races, hung with different nationalities, hung with different religious type people, hung with people of no religion, of no faith, and able to talk and converse with them without having to shut them down or shut them out. It took me a while to grow into a lot of the understanding and knowledge and different things, and for me to walk out of the indoctrination. I didn't walk all the way out of the indoctrination until about the age of 36 and understanding more that way. But so the study and researches and everything else I share here is that I have a bunch of stuff. There's other books I read outside the Bible as well. There's a bunch of the lost scriptures that I say I never did at the time have the whole collection with the Nag Hammadi scriptures, but books like the Book of Barnabas, the Gospel of the Holy Apostles, the Gospel of the Holy 12, or the 12 Apostles, or the Book of Thomas, which is a bunch of sayings of Jesus, Adam, the Book of Adam and Eve, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilee, Esther, and a bunch more apocryphal books and things of that nature. So I always studied a lot more other things, and just now the point in time and period in my life where a lot of the things have become me studying them again and reading them for the second and third time and getting more insight out of it. Having the veil lifted from my eyes, or the veils opening in my eyes, allow me to have better understanding of certain things. So we're going to get into the first book of Enoch, which was mentioned in Revelations. He was mentioned in the book of Jude and a bunch more other books, but in the Bible that doesn't give you much detail from my belief, knowledge, and understanding. As we said before, belief is not a knowing, because if you believe something, you don't. The difference between believing in something and trying to find that thing that gives you the knowing of a thing, or to allow you to know a thing, because once you know a thing, then you don't believe a thing, you know it. It's a difference. You can believe into a thing until you know it to be true or not to be true. So then you make the decision of, are you going to continue with the truth that you find, or will you allow the truth that it prevented to be carried through you as a lie? What I mean by the things that it did not show. So if I go into something and I want it to have a positive outcome, and that I'm studying and learning for it to come out with a certain positive outcome, but when it comes out with a negative outcome. So do I continue to ignore the negative and live my life as a lie, or do I pay attention to the positive that it came out? Or do I take this negative that came out and accept it for the truth for what it is and live my life according to that? So this is what self-mastery is about. That's what bringing things under the microscope about, being able to see those things and what truth do you walk away with. When we get to the book of watches, it's going to be a bunch of reading, and I may be able to piece off bits and pieces of it. So to be honest, so far, I don't know how long I've been talking now, and I want to get right into it, but I do know I have a couple more things coming up. So this videos, whenever I do record it, if I don't keep them all in one video, because I don't have a video editor, I'm not computer savvy yet. So if I don't be able to get the video all in one, I might put them up when I do share them with me talking about this part here, and then we're going into it, and you'll see the video when it starts with the Book of the Watchers, and we're going to reading it. And once we're going to reading that, we'll be breaking down certain things that stands out to me, and those that don't, we may just run through. The biggest thing is for you to continue to search for yourself and to find things for yourself, and to make sure that you it's okay, baby. I recorded. It's still gonna be recorded. It's grandbabies. Yeah, I am, but it's all good. It ain't. It can't be that frustrating. But you have to read the book of Enoch yourself and go through these things yourself. That's why I say I'm not the go-to guy. I'm just a guy that's out here putting out the information, showing you things from where I see and how I see and how I understand or how I believe. And you make the decision. It's for you to take these things and read them yourself, so as experience out of you can give you the revelation that you need for you and your life to produce the things that's desired and planned for your life. So as you can edify the body of Christ or the body of God, and you can do what's respectfully in your lane, I do respectfully in my lane, and we all win, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into this and see where we go with it. I'm gonna try the screen sharing thing. So you guys hold on for 1 minute. And I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see the screen share. I don't know what's going on here. I'm still working on it, so you guys just, if you're watching, hold on and hold steady with me. Okay, I think I'm getting it about right. So I see my internet's messing up. So hopefully whenever I do upload this, the videos and everything else will be coming through clear, and the voices and the messages. And this right here that we're looking at now is the book of Enoch. I'll show you where I'm reading it from, one of the ones I like better than the other ones that I had. Let's see, let's go up here. So you can get it offline as well. The complete book of Enoch, standard English version. There's the table of contents, e-cover, title, copyright, table of contents, introduction about the book of Enoch. You got book 1 all the way through is the book of the Watchers. And if we go through these titles to be at the top, you have book 2, which is the parables, and book 3, the birth of Noah, Eli. And then also you have other books in here as well, but we're dealing with the book of Enoch for now. So all of this stuff you're going to see in the rest of the keys of unlocking the Bible 3.1. I think when I go to the keys of unlocking the Bible 4.1, we'll be getting into the Enumilish, the Babylon's creation story, book of creation, and things of that nature, and the epic of Atrahasis is the first story of Noah that was written down on tablets in kinetic form as well. But we won't do book 4, now unless it's a later one. But for what we're talking about in here, it'd be just these first 3 that deals with the first book of Enoch, with the Watchers. The second book is the parables, and the third book of Noah. And when it comes to the fourth one, it's the kingdom of heaven. Enoch is taken, the luminaries, heavenly tablets is something that we may peek into today, but I'm not sure. I'll say that for another time. But this is something you may want to go ahead, if you got it, and read all these other things and get all this other information out of it. Okay. Let's see, where can we get to? The Book of the Watchers. Chapter 1, the words of the blessing of Enoch. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elite and righteous, who will be living in the days of tribulations. when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And Enoch, a righteous man whose eyes were opened by God, took up his parable and said, I saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. So he's seen a vision that's for a generation that's to come later on down the road. It wasn't his immediate generation. Concerning the elite, the certain picked out hand chosen ones by God. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and will appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall shake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And we're still here on 5, so you hear about the watchers here, and we talked about it up there. Later on in here into the book, you're going to find out who and what the watchers were. Okay, back at 6. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like a wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish. And there shall be a judgment upon all. But the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elite, and mercy shall be upon them, and they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall be blessed, and he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. And you'll hear this right here also in the book of Revelation, and I think in the book of Jude as well. And it speaks about God coming with his 10,000 of his holy angels to execute judgment. Like I said, the book of Enoch was not, it's one of the apocryphal books. It's not one that made it into the chronicle canon, the canonized chronicles from 1611 with the Council of Nicaea, giving the authority to all the scribes to collect all that they had and to compile a library called the Bible, or a collection of very separate different books called the Bible. Um, each book wrote by different authors, so God didn't write any of the words. It's to be inspired by God or up under the inspiration of God. It wasn't up under the handship, tutelage, or the words given from God, portrayed and written down, as you hear much about in the book of Enoch, and how his was given to him and how he received them and how they was written down, even some by angels. So, like I said, you're going to see a lot of these references and things in here made to help bring light into what I call the Bible, to help bring more information into some of the bits and some of the missing pieces that is into the scriptures, using other scriptures. Okay, chapter 2, the creation. At 1. Observe ye everything that takes places in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season. The transgressions not against their appointed order, and transgress not against their appointed order, meaning they do what they're ordained to do. And the Bible also speaks about how nature and the animals and all those things do what they were ordained to do, but man is the one that will not do the thing he was ordained to do. So he's speaking that into the same concept here, saying that the heavenly stars and the luminaries and all these things rise, set in order each and each season, and transgress not against their appointed hour. Down here too, behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it, first to last, how steadfast they are, how none of the things upon earth changes, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. We're down here 3. Observe, let me move me out the way. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 or 3 years till the new ones come, to new ones, to new comes. And again, observe ye the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth, over against it, and you seek shade and shelter by reason of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat. And so you cannot tread up on the earth or on a rock by reason of this heat. Observe ye how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruit. Wherefore give ye heed and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that liveth forever hath made them so. And there's 6. And all his works on thus from year to year forever, and all the tasks which they accomplish for him, and their tasks change not, but according as God hath ordained, so is it done. And behold, how the sea and the river is like manner, accomplished and change not their task from his commandments. The sea and the rivers in like manner. I apologize. But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord, but ye have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard hearted, ye shall find no peace. Therefore shall ye execrate your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal abomination, and ye shall find no mercy. In those days you shall make your name an eternal abomination to all the righteous, and by you shall all who curse. All the sinners and godliness shall imprecate, imprecate by you, and for you godless, they shall be a curse. And now all the righteousness shall rejoice, and all the righteous shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and every mercy and peace and forbearance. There shall be salvation unto them, a goodly light. And for all of you sinners, there shall be no salvation, but on you shall all abide the curse of the beast. Now, hear that? Shall be the curse of the beast, the mark of the beast. And for all you sinners, there shall be no salvation, but on you all shall abide the curse of the beast. But for the elect, there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom, and they shall all live and never again sin, either through ungodliness or through pride, but they who are wise shall be humble. And they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life, nor shall they die of anger or wrath, but they shall complete the number of the days of their life. And their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their life. Chapter 3, the fallen angels. And this is what we're going to get up into Genesis. If you give me a second, even though we're done in the other videos, I'm going to, because I don't feel like going out of the page and doing all this other stuff. I'm going to see, can I find it in Genesis here in my phone real quick? Uh-huh. Okay, it starts at Genesis 6. I'm going to read a little of Genesis 6, and I'm going to come back to the fallen angels. And this is what you're going to see most commonly shared in when it comes to the big book of Enoch and teaching it in the book of the Watchers. Um, some of the same thing that you're going to see in Genesis, and we'll get to the comparison and things of that nature later. And it came to pass, this is Genesis 6:1, and I don't know how many more down here I'll read, but we'll find out. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be and 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. So we'll find out who are the men of old and the men of renown, dealing with Enoch as well, and we'll find out who are the giants in here as well and what they're called in here. Okay, back down to Genesis 5. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his hearts were only evil continuous. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will restore man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the air. For it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And that's where it stopped. I'll start with Noah and go into other things. But this right here, as I said earlier, the reason why we bring this information, because you have these other informations that is in here that didn't make it into the Bible, but was deemed to be hidden or kept secret. But pieces of it, and from what I can research, the book of Enoch is older than a bunch of more other scriptures out there. Not saying it's older than Genesis, but saying that it's somewhere around that same line. So now we're back at the chapter 3, the fallen angels. Verse 1. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born to them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Zaza, and it's spelled in different ways and other ways, and I'm gonna tell you now, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce a bunch of these names. Um, so what I do, I scroll through them and I put my cursor on them, and you do the best you can to get it and understand it and read them and pronounce them the best way you can. But I will put them up here and we'll go through them. But this name, I'm gonna see how do they spell it and say it in another way. Give me one second. Um, how do they pronounce his name? Sam Yaza. What it says here, Sam instead of Sam Yaza. Okay, and I'm not making a declaration statement, but for some of the stuff that I was reading and stuff, this guy here sounds like the same one that you may want to call the devil or see to be the devil. Or when we're hearing Genesis about the great dragon that's being locked up and thrown away uh, and held in captive until a point of time, this guy is him. And we'll find that out later on in the book of Enoch. Why I say that. Okay, and Sam Yaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. As I said earlier, I'm not going to try to go through and pronounce them, but this guy, their leader, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, Daniel, I get him. Ezekiel, that one there, Aziel, or Morris, Batariel, Ananel, Zachlidel, Samsapil, and no. These are their chiefs of tens. And all others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them and to defile themselves with them. And they called them, and they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made their acquainted, made them acquainted with the plants. And they, okay, so this part right here, you can hear about some of these things here happening with the, right here, 8, with the things that were taught unto the children of Cain out of the Bible when he was kicked out of the garden and had to go to another place or another city, and he had them wives there. These are some of the things that you'll hear about. And like I said, in Genesis, if you go back and read Genesis, there's some of the things after Cain and Cain descendants and his bloodline. I don't have it right here in front of me, the passages, verses, and chapters to go look at, but go read Genesis and read about Cain after he was kicked out and he was like, they are going to kill me. Read about those things and you'll find out more about which one of these angels and which one of his kids or which one of the people were able to learn these crafts from these people. So just give me a second. So can I round up some of it and give you somewhere to go look. I don't have my notebook in front of me where I was doing most of my reading and notes and stuff. Give me one second. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say between Genesis 1 and 7, something like that. If you find it, comment like on video, and if I do find it, I'll post it up here later on and put it in the comments. But if you do, send it to me. Right here at 9, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. In other versions of the book of Enoch, it says 300 cubits. I haven't been able to look up these 1,000 ells and see what they are, but 300 cubits is very, very, very big. Um, I think for 1 cubit, it's like 3.5 feet. Not sure, something like that. Not saying I'm very precise, but close enough to it. So that's a very, very big, 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 big guy. Those are real giants, not like these 7 and 8 foot guys we have that they call giants, but these were real giants who consumed all the. I'm still at 9. I'm sorry. Who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could not no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. So when mankind couldn't keep making their sacrifices to these giants, couldn't keep giving them food to keep them straight, and the giants began to be too big. The people couldn't afford to feed them. Definitely couldn't clothe them. So they say they turned on them and started to eat them and do other things to other animals as well. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, eat each other, and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusations against the lawless ones. So you're hearing this right here too about the drinking of the blood and doing all these other things that, um, from the biblical point, when God created man and woman, and when God created Adam and Eve in the garden, separated from the other set of men and women, that they had a dietary diet and they weren't to eat anything that had blood in it. They were only to eat plant and vegetation. So no livelihood was to be eaten. It's like another Bible verse that talks about not eating anything with the blood therein. Then it goes to tell you about the other animals that you can eat, but I believe that's what man has put his own writing in it. The same way Moses gave a letter written for divorcement that God never intended for. God never had a letter written of divorcement for married people. It was something that Moses did for the stiffness of their heart. So man intervening into the word of God, the same way with that, because if you think about it, there's not a living thing for an animal that doesn't have blood in it. No swimming thing, no flying thing, no walking thing that doesn't have blood in it. Okay, down here to 11. And as Azael taught men to make swords and knives. And this is what I'm talking about with the certain kids of Cain that was taught certain things. So these are the ones that taught his kids these things. And so when I was speaking earlier, not saying it definitively, but I'm saying it to what the information and the knowledge and some of my investigation while one of these fallen angels was the son of, was the daddy of Cain and Abel, and then Seth being the son of Adam, not Cain and Abel. Later on, speaking in the Bible, into the genealogy of Adam from God to Adam to Seth, is that that's why they was able to come to Cain and teach Cain's kids these certain things because they were of the seed of the serpent. They were of the seed of the wicked that we hear about and hear about the wicked that would perish, and they were able to have children and teach men and women all these other things, and therefore bringing about the wickedness. So that's a small glimpse of my thoughts and hypotheses and theories on what I was telling you from the first couple of keys of unlocking the Bible. Okay. Sorry about that. In Isaiah 11, Isaiah taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates and make known to them the metals of earth and the art of working them and bracelets and ornaments and the use of uh, etymology and the beautifying of the eyelids and all kinds of costly stones and all color uh, textures. And there arose much godliness, and they committed fornications, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Samjaza, or the same one we're talking about Samzaza earlier, taught enchantment and roots cutting, armorers, the resolving of enchantment. I'm not going to try that. This is the name of that other god. That god or this fallen angel, this watcher taught the resolving of the enchantment. This one taught astrology, Kokobel, the constellation, Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Araquil. And if I'm butchering these names, you already know I apologize prior. The signs of the earth, this one, the signs of the sun, and the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cries went into heaven. Chapter 4, the intersections of angels. And when Michael, and then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said unto one another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their criers up to the gates of heaven. 3, and now to you, the Holy One of heaven, the souls of men make their suit saying, bring our course before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all the generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious, and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, the power over all things hast thou, and all things are naked and open in thine sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest that Azael have done, who have taught all the unrighteousness on the earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And that God, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates. 6, and they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And they're saying too here that when these angelical beings slept with the physical fleshly men, women, that they defiled their spiritual essence. And this is why they were kicked out and couldn't come back. Okay. Right here, the bottom of 6, and the woman have borne giants, and the whole earth was thereby being filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of their lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard of this. And you guys give me 1 second. I shall be right back. I don't know if I have to resume the sharing. I was trying to pause the video, so give me 1 second. Pause recording. Okay, I'm back. Let's pick up right here at 9. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spoke, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generation of the world. And so when we talk about Noah here, as I said in the story of the myth of Atrahasis, you're going to hear about the flood. You're going to hear about the flood in the Babylonian story of the Enumilish. And you hear about it here in Genesis. And there's other books and other things that talks about this great flood. So as I've been reading and studying as well too, um, if I could see it, whenever I come across it, I'll try to point it out to you if it doesn't skip my mind. But I believe there was more than one time that the earth was flooded and destroyed, outside of the Noah that was done beforehand too. While the earth was full of water when God first began to create in the Genesis story, in the beginning when He created the earth was full of water already. But nevertheless, let's continue with this. Down here at 10, again, the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azael hand and foot and cast him into the darkness and make an opening in the desert, which is in the Dudal, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire. So this is some of the stuff that say I believe it sounds a lot like the devil and how he was locked up in the pit. So that ties it into the same leader of the guys and some of these other angels that taught these things to the women that slept with him. So that right there will be one of the verses that I was seeing some things in. Okay, number 11. And heal the earth with the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing on the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azael, to him ascribed all sin. And Gabriel said to the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that they make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. For they hope to live in eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. So that's something else too to think about. As I was saying earlier, that when I read some of this stuff, some stuff stick out to me, just pokes in my head. So then how long is forever? Is forever 500 years only? How live it to live an eternal life, and that each one of their lives will live 100 years, 500 years. But anyway, 13, and the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Samlazaz and his associates who have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valley of the earth, till the days of their judgment and of their consumptions, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. So it sounds like they're talking about the lake of fires, having them locked up and consumed until that time comes. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed, right here, 14, who be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the probate and children of watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear. And it shall prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in the truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape and live, and shall live till they beget thousands of children. And all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of blessings. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vine which they planted thereon shall yield wine in abundance. And as for the seed which is sown thereof, each measure shall bear 1,000, and each measure of olive shall yield 10 presses of oil. 19, and cleanse thou the earth from all oppressions, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all godliness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth, destroy from the earth. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adorations, and shall praise me, and shall excuse me, worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again sin upon it from generation to generations and forever. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessings, which is in the heavens, so that to send them down on the earth, all the works of labor and of the children of men, and truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generation of men. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden. And there he abode, and what had become of him. And this activates, and his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the Holy One. And I, Enoch, was blessed in the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the watchers called me, Enoch, the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thy scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of heaven who have left the um, high heavens, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have gone as the children of earth do, have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Say to them, ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace for forgiveness of sin. And insomuch as they delight themselves in their children, and the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplications unto eternity, but mercy and peace shall be not attained. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have toleration nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and become of all the works of the ungodliness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and tremble seized them. And they brought me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. 28. For from thenceforth they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven, for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon. I read their petitions till I fell asleep. And I heard a dream come to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice came, binding me to tell it to the sons of the heavens, and re- reprimand them. And when I awakened, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in some place jails, which is between Lebanon and Sincere, and their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen asleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness, and to um, reprimand the heavily watchers. Chapter 5, Book of the Words of Righteousness. Before we get into the book of the words of righteousness, since we have read a whole lot already, let me see, how many more do we have left in this right here? You guys hold on 1 minute. Let me check something before we get to the book of the words of the righteous. Okay. We're going to try to find the book of the words of righteousness. We're going to go through it. And then we may stop at 6. I'm not sure. Okay, so one, the book of the words of the righteous and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers, in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision I saw in my sleep. What I will now say with a tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which is the Great One has given to men to converse therewith and understand with the heart, as he has created and given to man the power of understanding, the word of wisdom. So hath he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Your petition will not be granted unto you, and from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, into heaven unto all eternity, and in bounds of the earth and decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And previously you shall have seen the destructions of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And thy petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you sleep and pray and speak all the words containing in the writing which I have written. Okay. In the other book, I was talking about them making a petition to live for all eternity, and then for the 500 years. I believe that the eternity was for the watchers, and the 500 years was for their kids. Okay. Right here, 8. And the vision was shown to me thus: behold, in the vision clouds invited me. In the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightness sped and hastened me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to a wall which is built of crystal and surrounded by tongues of fire. And it began to frighten me. I wondered that where they got the Holy Spirit from. Was it passed down with these tongues of fire that looked like they fell on the men in the day of Pentecost, and they all began to speak in different languages, and those of the same languages that they were speaking in was able to hear them in their native tongue, even though these guys were not native of the language that they were speaking. Just a thought. And I went into the tongue of the fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystal, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystal, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like a patch of stars and lightning, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I, 13, and I entered into the house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There was no delight of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold to me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I heard a vision, and lo, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect, it and in every respect, it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I could not describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was a fire, and above it was lightning, and the path of the stairs and its ceilings also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof of the shining sun, and there was the vision of cherubims. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory set thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun. His raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence of the glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 were before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the 10,000 or 10,000 is also known Miriam in other books. Um, that's not this English standard they have them, but so if you read it and you hear about the Miriams, it's the 10,000 or 10,000, and also can be a number that could be unnumbered. But for the sake of the book of Enoch, he is speaking of a certain amount of numbers, I believe. So when he says later on, I don't know by catching it here, and these, if it's written the same way it was written in the other books, he had 15 of Miriams or 15 of Miriams. So that's 15 10,000. So that's all the 15 uncountable numbers. What makes it hard for me to say, well, if it's uncountable, then how can you say there's 15 different uncountable states? But anyway, nevertheless, we're going on to 21. And the most holy one who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. Wait a minute, the fame was around me in a great fire. Okay, yeah, 21. And the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from day. And until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling, and the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, come hither, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and awakened me and waked me, and he made me rise up and approach the door. And I bowed my face downwards. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach hither and hear my voice. And go say to the watchers of heaven, you have sent thee to intercede for them. You should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourself wives, and done like the children of earth, and begat giants as your sons? As though we were holy, spiritual, living, and eternal, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begot with the blood of flesh, have begotten with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanted to them on earth. So, but you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for the spiritual ones of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. And now the giants, okay, so they talks about here too. You hear Jesus speaks about it when they were asking about the guy that had a wife and died, and he had 7 other brothers that died, and when he got to heaven, who wife will be who wife? And he was like, hey, once you leave this earthly realm and become one of the angels or one of the elite, um, and also speaking in that, that was a somewhat of a trap question, because those asking him the question did not believe in the resurrection and those things of that nature as well. So Jesus gave them an answer according to their thoughts. And he was saying, hey, from what you believe, when you get to heaven and you become angels, it's just like this. You don't get no wives. You don't get to reproduce. The wife is there for the reproduction uh, of the same type of nature that you are. And he said that y'all was spiritual nature, so y'all didn't get no wives. Y'all didn't get to reproduce. You get to live for all eternity. They get to have wives and kids, so as they can get everything and they can work together to provide everything that they need upon the earth while they live there. Okay. 29. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men and from the watchers, in their beginning and primeval origins. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from the days of the slaughter of destructions and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits having gone forth shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment in which the ages shall be consummated over the watchers, and the godless, yea, shall be wholly consummated. And now, as to the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them who have been aforehand, aforetime in heaven, say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And this is the hardness of your heart you have made known to the women, and I'm sorry, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women, and though these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth. Saying to them, therefore, you have no peace. In chapter 7, taken by the angels. I mean, chapter 6. Give me 1 minute. Okay, chapter 7 is the last chapter in the Watchers. So if I don't get too much more detail into it, I'm going to read through and point out what we can. And whenever we start the part 2 of Enoch, I think it'll be Key to Unlocking the Bible 3.3. It'll be dealing with the parables and the 3 parables that he's saying, which is somewhat, I'm not gonna say lengthy, but it'd be like this right here. So the reason why I'm doing this too is so as you can have it and you can read it and you can see it, have it read it to you. If there's other different versions beside the standard version, you can go back and get it from like the Hebrew version translated into English. And like in a couple other books that I have, it reads a little differently, but it this right here basically says the same thing outside of some of the words that be hard. Like we talk about the mirror moments and it saying 10,000 people. I think in the other one, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this, but we'll talk about the giants, the Nephilim, and how it went from the Watchers, the giants, and how the giants had kids, and they called them Nephilim and things of that nature. And it's in, I don't know if it's in this writing or the other one. I've read 4 or 5 books of Enoch from different authors, so I got a lot up here. But chapter 7 will be the last one we read for the day, and we're going to go through it. And if there's anything as I go back through later, as I say, I don't edit my videos, don't have an editor. I make them, I create them. As I watch them back later on, if there's anything I can catch in my mind that I missed while I was doing this, I may do a recap of it before I go into the 3 parables of Enoch. But here we go. Chapter 7, the holy angels. And these are the names of the holy angels who watched mankind. So the other watchers that fell down too, I don't know to get into try to get too detailed. I don't know if they consider these same type here that roll with these guys, or did they have different perspective things to watch over upon the earth that came down. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch mankind. Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Tartarus. You got to figure out what torture is. Go search that word out and figure out what that is too. I'm gonna leave that for you to do. I'm not gonna tell you what that one is. 3, Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the spirits of men. Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Take vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best parts of mankind and over chaos. Seriquel, if I mess them up, you know the routine. One of the holy angels who is set over the spirits who sin in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the holy angels who is over paradise, and the serpents and the cherubim. You hear that, Gabriel? He's over the heaven, or the place of paradise in between heaven, hell, the place of paradise, and the serpents, yeah, and the cherubim, the angels. All of these are some things that you'll hear about later on or have already heard about in the Bible. Okay, 8. Remiel, one of the holy angels, whom God sent over those who rise, and I proceeded to where things were chaotic, and I saw there something horrible. I saw neither a heaven nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. And there I saw 7 stars of the heavens bound together in it, like great mountains and burning with fire. Then I said, for what sin are they bound, and on what account have they been cast in hither? Then said Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me and was chief over them, and said, Enoch, why dost thou ask, and why art thou eager for the truth? These are the number of the stars of heaven, which has transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and are bound there 10,000 years, the time entailed by their sins are consummated. 13. And then I went to another place, which was still more horrible than the former, and I saw a horrible thing, a great fire, there which burnt and blazed, and the place was cleft as far as the abyss, being full of great descending columns of fire. Neither its extent or magnitude could I see, nor could I conjecture. Then I said, how fearful is this place, and how terrible to look upon. Then Uriel answered me, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto me, Enoch, why hast thou such fear and fright? And I answered, because of this fearful place, and because of the spectacular of the pain. That don't sound good. I'm sorry. And he said unto me, this place is the prison of the angels, and there shall and here they will be in prison forever. And thence I went to another place, the mountain of hard rock, and there was it in it 4 hollow places, deep and wide, and every mouth, how smooth are the hollow places, and deep and dark to look at. Then Raphael answered, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto me, these hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the spirits of the souls of the dead should assemble therein. Yea, that all the souls of the children of men should assemble here. And these places have been made to receive them till the day of their judgment, until their appointed period, till the great judgment upon them. I saw a dead man making suit, and his voice went forth to heaven and made suit. And I asked Raphael, the angel who was with me, and I said unto him, this spirit which maketh suit, whose is it? Whose voice goeth forth and maketh suit to heaven? Like who's crying out? Who's crying out unto heaven? Who's making their complaint or their suit made? And also up here at 20, it speaks about these places that were called out for the souls of people too. So this is another place that's not really like speaking about in the Bible. There's another place outside of paradise that's held for those people after death until the day of judgment. So 21, and he answered me saying, this is the spirit which went forth from Abel, whom his brother Cain slew, and he maketh his suit against him till his seed is destroyed from the face of the earth, and his seed is annihilated from amongst the seed of men. Then I asked regarding it, and regarding all the hollow places, well, why is one separate from the other? And he answered me, and he's talking about up there at verse 20, he's talking about the called out places. There were 4 of them. And he not want to know why there's separation between all 4 clean hollow spots out. At 24. And he answered me and said unto me, these 3 have been made that the spirits of the dead might be separate. And such a division has been made for the spirits of righteousness, in which there is the bright spring of water. And such has been made for sinners. Then they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not been executed on them in their lifetime. Here their spirit shall be set apart in this great pan pain till the great day of judgment and punishment and torment, and those who curse forever and retributions for their spirits. There he shall bind them forever, and such a division has been made for the spirits of those who make their suit, who make disclosures concerning their destructions, when they were slain in the days of the sinners. Such has been made for the spirits of men who are not righteous, but sinners, who were completed in transgressions, and of the transgressors, they shall be companions, but their spirits will not be slain in the day of judgment, nor shall there be risen from thence. I'm going to read 26 again because my mind went off somewhere, so I apologize. Such had they been made for the spirits of men who were not righteous, but sinners, who were complete in transgression. And of the transgressors they shall be companions, but their spirits shall not be slain in the day of judgment, nor shall they be raised from thence. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and said, Blessed be my Lord, the Lord of the righteous who ruleth forever. Okay, so in here too, I'm gonna go back up real quick. In at the spirit after going all the hollow places, which is one. And he answered, I'm at 24 again, so give me a second. And he answered me and said unto me, These three have been made that the spirits of the dead might be separated. And such a division have been made for the spirits of righteous, in which there is the bright spring of water, and such was being made for sinners. Okay, so you got one for the righteous with the bright spring of water in it, and the other ones are tormental places for the other three, and separation of the other three until the point of time and out. I think I'm at 28 now. For thence I went to another place in the east of the ends of the earth, and I saw a burning fire which ran without resting and paused not from its course day or night, but regularly. And I asked, saying, Which is this which rests not? Then Rugel, anyway, one of the holy angels who was with me answered me and said unto me, This course of fire which thou hast seen is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven. Remember the angels, the stars that was locked up in that void place, they had seven angels that was locked up that transgressed the Lord or whatever. The fire is the vast which persecute all of the luminaries of heaven. So I think that's what goes here too. They're speaking about that. This is where that place is that he's talking about. And from thence I went to another place on the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire, which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw seven magnificent mountains. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm good. All different, each from the other. And the stones were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. Three towards the east, one founded on the other. Three towards the south, one upon the other. The deep rough ravines, no one of which joined with any other. And the seven mountains was in the midst of these, and it assailed them in height, resembling the seat of the throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And amongst them was a tree such as I had never yet smelled, neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood withered not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruits resemble the dates of a palm tree, pomegranate dates, what it sounds like to me. Then I said, How beautiful is this tree, and fragrance, and its leaves are fair, and its blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels, who was with me and was their leader. And he said unto me, Enoch, why doest thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree? And why dost thou wish to learn the truth? 28, I'm gonna scroll up. 38, When I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all and bring it to consummation forever. It shall be, it shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elite. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. And they're talking about the tree of life here. Later on, you get to see that they're going to talk about the tree of knowledge. Yeah, they don't call it the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but they call it tree of knowledge. And this is the tree of life, what will be given to the elite so that they can live eternal. 40. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter, and its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as the fathers lived, and in their days shall no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then bless I the God of glory, the eternal King, who has prepared such things for the righteous and have created them and promised to give to them. And I went from thence to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming. And there I saw a holy mountain, and underneath the mountains to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountains. And to the east thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former, and a small uh, elevation, and a ravine deep and dry between them. And another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the three mountains. And 45, and all the ravines were deep and narrow, of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rock, and I marveled at the ravine. Yea, I marveled very much. Then said I, For what object is this blessed land, which is entirely filled with trees, and is a cursed valley between? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, This accursed valley is for those who are accused forever. Here shall all the accused be gathered together, who uttered with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall be their place of judgment. In the last days there shall be upon them the uh, spectacle of righteous judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the Lord of glory and eternal King in the days of judgment over the former. They shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and set forth his glory and lauded him gloriously. And thence I went towards the east, and in the midst of the mountain range of the desert, and I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary, full of trees and plants, and water gushed forth from above, rushing like a copious watercourse toward the north. West it caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. And thence I went to another place in the desert and approached to the east of the mountain range, and there I saw uh, aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh, ex- exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh. Sorry. And the trees also were similar to the almond tree. And behold, these I went afore to the east. And behold, this I went afore to the east, and I saw another place, a valley of water, and therein there was a tree, the color of fragrant trees, such as the majestic. And on the sides of those valleys, I saw flagrant cinnamons. And beyond these, I proceeded to the east, and I saw other mountains, and amongst them were groves of trees, and there flowed forth from them nectar, which is named Sarara and Gabanum. And beyond these mountains, I saw another mountain to the east, and the ends of the earth. Therefore, were aloe trees, and all the trees were full of steak, whatever, being like almond trees. And when one burnt it, it smelled sweeter than any flagrant odor. And after these flagrant odors, as I looked toward the north over the mountain, I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees and cinnamon and pepper. And thence I went over the summits of all these mountains, far towards the east of the earth, and passed above the uh, Ethiopian Sea, and went. It may translate to what's the name of that sea? Shoot. Anyway, Mediterranean Sea, and went forth from it and passed over the angel Zotiel. And I came to the garden righteous, and I came to the garden of righteous, and from afar off I saw numerous trees and these great 2 trees there, very great, beautiful and glorious and magnificent, and the tree of knowledge, whose holy fruit was set and known, whose holy fruit they ate and um, know great wisdom. That tree is in highest like the strangler fig, and its leaves are like the carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine. Very beautiful, and the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how beautiful is the tree, and how attractive is it? Then Raphael, the holy angel who was with me, answered and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father old and thy aged mother who were before thee have eaten, and they learnt wisdom, and their eyes were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they were defied or driven out of the garden. And from thence I went to the ends of the earth and saw these great beasts of every different from the other, each different from the other, and birds also differing in appearance and beautiful in voice, and one different from the other. And to the east of these beasts I saw the ends of the earth, whereon the heavens rest, and the portals of the heavens open. And I saw how the stars of heaven came forth, and I counted the portals out of which they proceeded, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star by myself, according to their numbers and their name and their courses and their positions and their times and their months, as Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, showed me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me. Also, their names he wrote for me, and their laws and their company. So, real quick, there's a bunch of, when we get finished reading with the book of Enoch, there's different times and different occurrences where he talked about the books that Enoch himself wrote and the things that he was able to write down, and he was a scribe and he was told to scribe down outside of the book, like Uriel wrote for him and gave him things, tablets, and scribes. Um, there are other books and other literature, I would say, or other letters, he would say, and other things that was written down by him that were passed down through his son Methuselah that I would love to know more about, and a lot of more of the writings of the things that Enoch seen and that he talked about in these things here. I think that would have been great to be added into the Bible. But some of the reason I believe it did not, because of some of the things that we're reading here and how it kind of drifts away from the indoctrination of God, Jesus, heaven, hell, eternal rest. But at all the same time, it's got a lot of them same combinations. It just veers away from the one mainstream doctrination, I would say. So that's my thought theory on that. Maybe another time and another broadcast, we'll talk deeper into that. Okay. And where was I at? 65, I believe. No, then I went towards the north. That's 63. We'll start here. And therefore I saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. Okay. So it was 63. And from thence I went toward the north to the ends of the earth, and there I saw great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. And here I saw three portals of heavens open into heaven. So each of them proceeded north winds. Then they blew there when they blew, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blew for good, but then they blow through the other two portals. It is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. And from thence I went towards the west to the ends of the earth, and saw there three portals of the heavens upon such as I had seen in the east, the same number of portals and the same number of outlets. And, and from thence I went to the south to the ends of the earth, and saw there three open portals of the heavens, and thence um, there came dew, rain, and wind. And from thence I went to the east of the ends of the heavens, and saw there the three eastern portals of heaven opened, the small portals above them. Though each of these small portals pass the stars of heaven and run their courses to the west of the path which is shown to them. And as often as I saw, I blessed always the Lord of glory. And I continued to bless the Lord of glory, who was brought great and glorious wonders to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to spirits and to men, that they might praise his work and all his creation, and that they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands and bless him forever. Okay, so that was the end of it. When we start back on our segment, the keys to unlocking the Bible, we'll be starting with book 2, but we have had so far. I'm gonna stop sharing, guys. So we have so far talking about the watchers and those that came down and slept with the sons and slept with the daughter of men. Um, and out of that, they produced giants, Nephilims, and all these other things. Enoch goes and talks to them, and they petition to Enoch to petition to God for them, and there will be no reaper. They can't be forgiven for the things that they've done. Um, so there's a bunch of stuff in here. He talks about the stars, the luminaries, and all these other things. But when we get to other books, he get more detail into more other things. One of the reasons I'm bringing the book of Enoch, or I am examining, or we are examining the book of Enoch, is because it was mentioned in the Bible, and he was talked about in the Bible on different occasions. They only took snippets and pieces out of it, but I think this helps us as into all, as we were speaking earlier in other videos about. Let me have all the information that those that compiled the Bible. Let me have the information that they had. Let me have the information to make and read and study for my own self, and then decide what's good and what's done right. Because from my understanding that the God that lives in God, or the God that we know or we describe as is the same God that lives in everybody. And so even the Bible says that there'll become a point in time where there will be no man to teach no other man about God. Because he said he's written his instruction, or he's written the things that he needs inside the heart of each and every person. So that God that dwells inside of you is inside of your heart, and he has all the things that you need to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish through that, or through him, or through that consciousness for your life is already being written. He's carrying it, or it's carrying it inside of your heart. It's written on the tablet. So you can't get away from it. But you have to go on the inside to get into the tablet of the heart, to read the tablet of the heart, to understand. And like Enoch says, God has given him wisdom and knowledge and understanding to understand the things that he sees, and to have understanding about the things that were said unto him. So that's what we search for. We want to thank you for joining our channel today, taking your time and uh, coming out and um, spending your time with us. So we'd like you to like, subscribe, and please comment. Come back and check out more. Here at Inner Circle Ministries, we'd like to thank you again, as I said. Gotta get off here and check out some other things. So peace, love, and prosperity to each and every last one of you. Until the next time we meet again, may your self-mastery, may you be grown into and be mastered by the mastery of the master inside of you. Love you and have a great, great day.